Do whatever you're comfortable with. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay, we've got a few folks who have joined us now. We've still got another couple of minutes. We'll give it just a couple of minutes to allow for anyone else to join us. And then, just in the interest of time and not wanting to keep folks too long, we'll kick it off. Just give it another minute or so.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm showing 6:30. We'll still give just about another minute, and then we'll kick things off with who we have. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. For everyone who is on with us, I certainly appreciate you joining this meeting. I'm John Rutherford. I'm the Metro Council member for District 31. And the purpose of tonight's meeting is to hear from a development team in regards to a proposed development at 6240 Nolensville Road. And so we want to give them an opportunity to speak and, basically present their plan on what they want to accomplish there. And then we'll get input from the folks who may have questions of them. And so we'll try not to take too much of everyone's time, but certainly glad that you could join us on this evening. So in the interest of getting things moving, I want to hand it over to the development team. If you guys would just introduce yourselves, tell us who you are, each of you on the team, and then whoever's presenting, just take it from there. So I'll turn it over to you guys now.
Yeah, hey, I'll go first. Thanks, Councilman Rutherford, for taking the time to set this meeting up. My name is Andy Bokta. I'm with the development team, Sela Developments, and we are working on this project.
Okay, and I think you have one more member with you as well.
Yeah. Yes, and we have
Sure. This is Jay. With Sela Developments. We've just so everyone know, we purchased this land maybe a couple of years ago. Just been trying to figure out what to do with it. We've reached out to Councilmember John Rutherford, a couple of times regarding some proposed uses. We just have not had a concrete development plan until here recently, and that's what we would like to talk to the neighborhood about. Is what our plans are, and hopefully answer any questions that everyone has.
All right. I know you guys had a third member that might be joining us, Patrick. Do you know his status?
Yeah, I'm not sure
Yeah,
if he's able to join, but Patrick with Patrick Napier with former Lucas was the engineering team.
Okay. Okay. Well, you guys just take it from here then, and let us know what your plans are.
Yeah, absolutely. Jay, you want to lead it off?
yeah, no, I could absolutely lead it off. Oh, So, we have the land there that's currently zoned agriculture, if I'm not mistaken. What our plan um, is to do some townhomes in the back, and potential retail commercial tenant in the front. Um, and the townhomes roughly about 1,800 square foot. Starting at about 350 to 400K, right in between there. Um, and In the front, we were hoping for like a commercial retail tenant, such as like coffee shop, or there's been couple of a couple of concepts that we looked at that are interested in the area. So that's our plan, is to have commercial retail in the front, and then layer that in the back with townhomes.
Okay, and I see a Patrick has joined us. Is that the Patrick from your team?
Yes.
Patrick, feel free to introduce yourself, since your two cohorts have done so. So we'll give you the opportunity to do that now, if you will.
Yes. Sorry, I had to restart my computer. Had some technical difficulties. I'm Patrick Napier. I work for former Lucas Engineering here in Green Hills in Nashville. I previously spent 6 years at Metro Nashville Planning, just doing site plan review. Um, and now I work for a private engineering firm, which is, as I said, former Lucas Engineering. So I do all the land use for private clients, rezones, subdivisions, just anything that our clients need as far as land use entitlement. So I know we probably have already done a brief um, introduction of the site. I can share the site plan so that we can all see it on screen and go
That
through
would
it.
be, yeah, that'd be great if you could do that.
Okay, let me
Perfect.
see here. Do I need privileges? Let's see here. Councilmember, could you make me a presenter so that I can share? And I have the site plan pulled up here.
Let me see if I know how to do that. Otherwise, we'll call on council staff to help us out.
Council staff can do anything.
Yeah, Rosie or Anna, do you know about giving them privileges to be able to present? Okay, I may have just found it. I made you a host. Does that give you the opportunity to do that?
Can you prepare for this?
Patrick, are you still there?
Yes. Okay. So yes, I do have the sharing privileges.
Okay, great.
All right. So let's start off with a map so we can get everybody centered on the location, kind of relative to where everybody might be in the area. So I'm
Okay.
going to share my Chrome browser here. And so this is our site. Let me make this a little bit bigger. So the property address is 6240 Nolensville Pike. We are next to, I believe, a recently completed multifamily development at 6228 Nolensville Pike. And I believe the property to our southeast is a nursery plant nursery, and they sell mulch and things of that nature. And then next to us, we have a vacant parcel owned by Trinium Ventures LLC. We have spoken with these owners briefly in the past, and just, we want to let them know what our plan was moving forward, just to try and be good neighbors. They said they did not have any plans underway or any thoughts about developing their property, but that, they were just content to let it be as it is. So as far as we know, there's no plans for that property to develop anytime soon. It's just we spoke with those folks several months ago. Okay, so back to our site. So we're at 6240 Nolensville Pike. So hopefully everybody is familiar with that location relative to this council district. So now I'll switch over to the site concept plan. So bear with me 1 second here. And everybody should be able to see the site plan layout on my screen. Make my screen a little bigger here.
It's not
So
good.
here we go. I'll zoom in. Let's zoom in on the commercial portion here. So this would have a single driveway connection to Nolensville Pike that would access the commercial and the residential. This is a small concept for drive-through coffee and possibly, associated pastry or baked goods, just like you would have in any other coffee space. I know that our ownership has tentatively engaged a few tenants, but I don't believe we have any formal letters of intent on the commercial space. But they've received some interest. So we would just have the drive-through with the associated landscaping out on the edges, some probably informal lighting, and then associated, parking to meet what the code requires. And this actually would exceed the code, maybe I think by about 15%, just to make sure that we don't have any overflow or any conflict.
Is that a single business location?
Yeah, just a single business. Mm-hmm. And like, we don't have any other plans or anything else. This is the only thing we've explored at this time. So then moving back up, you have townhomes, which are attached in blocks of 4. We're moving back up into the hillside a little bit. These would have a 20 by 40 footprint. Each townhome would be rear loaded 2-car garage. And they would be roughly 30 to 35 feet in height when measured from average finished grade. And then we took some care to go ahead and analyze the steep slopes on the site. So all of these footprints for all of these multifamily structures would not impact slopes over 20%, which is what planning's guidance has been in the past. They don't want you to touch or disturb or alter slopes that are 20% and over. So this plan does not impact those steep slopes. The plan does have some topography and some rise from Nolensville Pike up to the top of the site, but it's nothing that's insurmountable, and it's nothing we kind of don't see in other locations in Davidson County. So while it's somewhat of a great change, it's still common for various multifamily sites in Davidson County. So it will take site work, obviously, like most sites do, but that is part of developing in Davidson County, as we all know.
So is each row of townhomes higher than the other row?
Yeah, they're gonna step back between 4 to 6 feet as you go up. So it'll be a gentle transition because that hillside is a pretty consistent rise as it goes up. So you're not going to see like a weird 10-foot difference from one block to the other. We're happy to field any questions or any additional discussion if anybody has any detailed questions.
I do. Are you going to leave any kind of green space or gather
Yes.
place? Because we have
And
lost so much habitat here, and I'm so concerned about like the air that we're breathing, and the air traffic's gone up. And also I'm concerned too about just like any kind of riparian buffer or anything to help with the groundwater and Mill Creek and all that.
yes,
So
so
ecological,
we will
what I'm concerned
preserve
about.
everything that's you can see these topographic lines where my mouse is. So everything behind this row of townhomes will remain as it is. It'll remain undisturbed. The tree canopy back there will be preserved. We will also we'll have landscape buffers along each side, and where we can capture existing and mature vegetation, we will protect that with protection fencing, which is a code requirement, like Metro Code 1. They want you to say mature vegetation, and you get more landscape buffer credit when you do so. So it will require less soil disturbance for pulling out undesirable or other vegetation and replacing it. So we always strive to keep existing mature vegetation where possible. Everybody wants to live next to a mature tree, right? Like it's an asset. The reason I bought my house, it's the reason a lot of people buy their houses. It's the nice mature trees. So we will make all the efforts, and even in between the units as well. If we can say tree canopy, then by all means we will.
Well,
Okay, what
since
about,
it is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was
You're
just
still
going to
on. Go
say
ahead.
for runoff and at the bottom, like
Mhm.
what about riparian buffer and all that?
We will also install all biopond and stormwater measures as required by Metro Code. So as the Metro Stormwater Management requires, you are not allowed to release stormwater unless it meets, what they call TDS requirements, which is total dissolved solids. So if stormwater leaves your site, it has to meet a pretty strict standard for cleanliness, which is then water quality upon. And so that will be something that we'll have to likely incorporate along the sides and up in the front by the commercial. It might be that we lose some of this parking if stormwater review comes in and says we need you to lower your impervious surface ratio. That is an option to gain back more green space as well.
That was my question in regard to runoff. So I'm glad that was addressed. And I also wanted to ask in regard to the townhomes, is this a plan for owner occupied or are these rentals?
Jay or Andy, can you field that question?
Owner occupied.
Okay.
How do you know owner occupied? That's what y'all say.
What's
sorry.
that?
What was that question again, Ms. Barbara?
I'm concerned about it being rental property in spite of what we are hearing now about it being owner occupied. And that's mainly because of the high number of apartment areas that face Nolensville Road proper. I'm also concerned about what will be directly next to. I'm trying to envision where this is. Is it on the Lenox Village, Sugar Valley side of Nolensville Road or across the street where the school is?
No, it's on the other side of Nolensville Road from the school, so the Lenox side.
So it's on our side, 6240 Nolensville Road. Okay.
Yes.
What's the nearest side street off Nolensville Road? Is it Bineville? Is it another street? I'm just trying to imagine it because it's not noted in the design that I see in the diagram.
Do you guys have that handy? I don't have a
I
map in
believe
front
the
of me, but
closest cross street is Brookview Forest Drive, which is across Nolensville to the southwest. Looks
Right,
like the closest cross street.
right, Miss Barbara. When I look at the map, because I'm in Brookview Forest, it's across the street. Looks like it's next to the doggy park / mulch place that's across the street from us, which would be on the Lenox Village side.
Okay, so that's another piece of property that makes it highly populated on this side of, on my side of Nolensville Road. So I would prefer that this not be structured, built on this site. That's just my preference. I think it creates an opportunity for the builder, but not for the community at large.
Well, I agree with that. And I have a bigger question as to how this affects traffic. Nolensville It's horrible with traffic. We've had all these other constructs go up with no real addressing. I know the street is being widened, but you can't get out onto the street. So have you guys looked at how this changes up traffic patterns and people being able to get to work? We have all these neighborhoods cutting through already, coming down from Nolensville, crossing over from I-24, coming back from the Cane Ridge area, cutting through our communities, and you can't hardly get out. Not to mention you now have the confounding factor of the school still sits right there. So have you looked at traffic patterns and what this is doing to upset this area of the community where you can't hardly get out onto the street?
So that will be part of the required review when we submit to NDOT. We will also work with WeGo as far as like, bus service in the area. And during the review with NDOT, they may require, addition of turn lanes, or they may require other, sidewalk infrastructure, or, they might ask us to contribute to additional red light. Those are all things that can come up during the review when we go through after our submittal to Metro Planning and NDOT.
Good. I have another question if no one else wishes to speak.
Go ahead.
Well, first, I want to thank you, Councilman Rutherford, for having this meeting here. My question to you directly is, what are your feelings about the way in which you plan to support the community at large as your main priority rather than the builder?
Well, what I wanted to do is to have this meeting in particular to see this plan, because I'm seeing it for the first time, just as everyone else is. And so that means I've not made any determination as to whether I would support it or not support it in terms of it going before council. I want to learn more about it, just as you would like to learn more about it. One of the key things that I asked of them before we actually kicked the meeting off was in regards to the widening project of Nolensville Road, because even if there was support for this, if people were inclined to be for this, I don't think anyone would want to see construction happening at the same time construction's happening on Nolensville Road. And so that's sort of that's the first red line for me personally, is not to have all of that happening at the same time. And they can address that because they had talked to me about that in terms of their timing on this process. But I think first and foremost, we don't want to throw too much at the community at one time, and we're already overburdened, if you will, with the road project. I think things will be much better, obviously, as the road project gets towards its end, but it's not projected to end, according to the state, until August of 27. They are, according to the last messages they sent us, on track to finish by that date, but that's still quite a ways out there. And so this is, in my mind, hinges very strongly on whether or not there can be agreements as to when construction on this would begin, even if it has the support of the community. But that's yet to be determined. But that's my first red line that I wanted to throw out there. I'll let them address the question at hand in terms of what I presented to them, because they had shared some things with me, but I want them to share that with you in terms of their timing on this in relation to the road project.
Yes, happy to follow up on that. So as relation to and thank you, Councilmember, for letting us know the horizon on the road project. I was not aware when they projected to finish. So best case scenario, if we applied for this within the next two submittal deadlines for Metro Planning Commission, that would then subsequently go to a hearing, I believe, sometime in late February or early March for Planning Commission. And then, as we know, it goes through Metro Council on that schedule, because we're not going to file any bills. Metro Council doesn't receive bills from planning in February due to scheduling conflicts. So that would then put this, I believe, through a council approval, if it were to track on those dates, sometime in late May or June, if I'm going off my memory serves me correctly. And if it were to receive Metro Council approval, then it has to go through final site plan review. And final site plan review is typically another 6 months. So if you were to start on the next submittal deadline, you're looking at probably a year before you get a shovel in the ground. Like before you actually see a machine show up on site, that's a realistic timeline.
Well,
Because a stormwater grading permit, as everybody knows in the development world of Metro, 4 months is fast and 6 months is realistic. That's just the scope of what it takes for stormwater grading to be reviewed and approved in Metro.
Point of view is my phrase to now. Point of view. When I look at the Nolensville Road project being widened, TDOT, and as I recall years ago, over close to 5 years or even better, there was a meeting at Lake Providence Baptist Church in their fellowship hall. It was packed. Everyone who could possibly deal with Metro and TDOT was there. The maps and everywhere. People from Nolensville, Creve Hall, Brentwood, over on the Cloverland side. This side of town was packed. And they shared with us that that we had to wait at least 5 years in order for the Nolensville Road project to start. And of course, it started this year. And as I think of that, and I think of point of view, the urgency is more for the builder. You know, it's great to see the land, and that's wonderful, and the space and the road and the opportunity for expansion on your side of the fence. On my side of the fence, I don't see opportunity. I see relief. The traffic has been horrible. The narrow roads, because the residents from Nolensville, of course, need space and need wide roads. So we waited so very long patiently to have a decent thoroughfare that's widened and widened carefully. And so now we hear on the news, we're always getting traffic that detours off I-24, that merges. And of course, we've had the cut throughs and the block roads from Hope Road and from all the other roads. And so we've been very patient residents. What I'm concerned, and of course, if you look at Barnes Road and you see Old Hickory Boulevard on the end with the charter school and the expansion behind Sugar Valley and in your neighborhood, Mr. Rutherford, on back over even to Sunnywood Drives, which is interesting to me. I think it's imperative that this not be a rush. You know, that's why I say my point of view rather than the opportunity for the builder, which is, you know, understandable. They see that property. But I'm concerned about what else, if this is being built, which I totally think should happen. But there's got to be something more than, oh, we got the little, you know, everything looks good and we got to go through so many readings and all that. That's, you know, so 6 to 7 months down the road does not give us even time to finish up the street. We haven't expanded anything. There's no relief at all. You know, so yes, we have a tract of land where we can put the building, but there's nothing that comes to this community that we don't already have that even thinks about enhancing. It's just another piece of property. And I doubt if it's going to be home ownership. You know, that may be the goal, but with the cost of living here in Davidson County, a new bill, we already have 2 that were supposed to have been ownership across from Oliver, middle on this side of the street. I don't know if that's happened or not, because really we have a loose leaf way in this part of town off Nolensville Road of not valuing what was already pre-existing. And I've lived here since 1969, when the street was narrow, when there were churches and beautiful red brick homes, when you had to buy your own light pole if you wanted to have a street light and pay for it down around. When it was pristine and beautiful, in Mill Creek, you heard the trickle and you saw. But we didn't see the dust. So by the time half of Nolensville Road is widened and cleaned up and looks pretty with the curved sides. We are continuing to dig on our side of the street. And I don't think it's fair that we are, I feel personally, my point of view, imposed upon. And I've been here my lifetime. And so for us to have the relief that even Nolensville, Tennessee is afforded to continue to tear up on this side of the street, I think is most ungratifying and does not lend itself to add any value to our properties.
Well, Miss Barbara, I thank you for saying all of that. I would like to ask you, since you seem very tuned in to what's going on in the area and to the community in general, is there something specific that you would like to see done with this particular property, or is it that you would just rather nothing happen with it at this time? What are your thoughts on that?
I just think that for instance, when we see what's already there that's not even being considered, like the little dog park, not the dog park, but the little park up there on outside of the street that's going to be untouched. When you see the landscaping or the little nursery looking section, that's quite appropriate because it's already there and it's stable and it's well kept when the road is cleaned up. Something that is of some quote unquote natural environment quality that lends itself. And it's not hustle and bustle and promised rental space and promised ownership space when we already have enough of this in this area, in this general area where this property is. If something else could be considered that is weighed upon heavily, that is an agreement with the community. But just to add another stack of townhomes and all that, I mean, it's just, you know, we have so much on the front that already takes away. And the sound, yes, the sound is an issue. Yes, the connections for cable and all those other things go in and out all the time now. And so, you know, if you notice, as the road is even widened and landscaped, there is much greater sloping refinery on the Oliver Middle School side of the street compared to ours. Unless you really watch it, Councilman Rutherford, you will see unless you really watch it. So, you know, I'm just concerned about our being second rate. And I don't want that to happen on this side of the street. I'm done talking. I've talked too much.
Okay,
For
well,
those
I appreciate
just
all
like
of that. And there's a hand raised, Miss Kimberly, but I wanted one question to be addressed that came from Miss Barbara before, and then I'll go to Kimberly. And that is if the development team could address the ownership issue. I think there may be some concern about whether it being owner occupied could potentially change to rental. Could that be addressed? And then we'll go to Miss Kimberly.
Yeah, this product's going to be a for sale, owner occupied product. The numbers won't pencil at all, one bit for a rental product at all. So it's going to be a for sale product.
Okay.
Earlier, you said there would be both ownership and rental.
No, ma'am, it was owner occupied.
only, is the owner occupied only, or can someone buy 5 or 6 of them and lease them, which is happening all over the country now, where you can buy 10 or 12 of them and you know, and you rent them out, and you aren't even occupying any of them, but they're owned. So the terminology of own is relative.
Yeah, like corporate ownership, Miss Barbara.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
want to stay away from corporate ownership. We actually had
sure.
a developer that proposed a corporate owned rental community out on the 2-lane portion of Old Hickory, and that just didn't go anywhere at all. We said no to that one right away. So we do want to stay away from that type of environment.
And
So
how big was that proposed community?
it was large. So it was like
Yeah.
80 something homes. It
Yeah,
was significant.
those
Yeah.
bigger developments, like 80 to
Yeah.
100. That's kind of what they do. This is a smaller, more intimate development. This is going to be a for sale product.
Okay. Okay. And then Miss Kimberly, we want to get to you now. Sorry to put you off, but you
Well,
have the floor now.
well, thank you. I hold a lot of the same sentiments as Miss Frey. I mean, I haven't been in the community as long, but I've had my home since 2008, and my neighborhood has completely changed. The view from my home completely destroyed. Like we used to be able to look out and see nature. Now all we see are buildings. But my concern is at the corner of Holt and Nolensville, that area that has been cleared out. Councilman, do you know what is going in that area already? That's been cleared out
At
at the
the
corner of
corner,
Holt and
uh,
Nolensville?
Holt and Nolensville, are you talking about on the other side of the road from us?
Yes, on the other
Okay.
on my side. I'm on that side. But I'm
Yeah,
wondering what is happening there because I
yeah,
feel like
that
these things will compound on each other.
They will.
it's good that you raised that because that there is a proposed development for that spot as well. That once you get on the other side of Nolensville Road, you're in a different council district. That's Councilmember Cortez. And so I don't know the specifics on that, but I do know there is a proposed development for there that would be mixed use. It would be residential and commercial. So kind of like, commercial up front and residential in the back. So kind of similar to this, but it's larger.
Yeah, so I mean I agree with Ms. Frey. It's not adding any value to us in our community in any kind of way. I have a small child. We have no green space to even take the child outside now. We don't need another coffee shop, another Dunkin' Donuts. We just don't need that.
So the development team, do you have any thoughts to add to that?
Um, we would like to point out that the parcel for any other commercial use is somewhat narrow when you consider the required driveway width, and that's for fire code, um, and emergency vehicle access. The parcel is only 150 feet wide. As you can see from the site plan, um, does not offer, and of course, the slopes and the grade change is somewhat challenging as well. So the plan that you see here is a product of several scenarios that we worked through to find an efficient use of the land that also balances overall impact as well as providing some commercial use up front, right? Like it doesn't necessarily have to be coffee, right? It could be some other commercial use that fits within bulk regulations that we can limit on a plan, right? Like it could be restaurant, it could be potential retail, it could be, we can, so that would give, some leeway for the community to prefer, maybe have a different commercial use that's actually seen as an amenity, right? Like that's something that we can work on. Um, if and if the neighbors have a suggestion of something that they might like us to explore to bring to the area that they'd like to have and fit in a commercial space, because the land use policy, it's a mixed urban policy, so that's what the future land use vision is for this side of Nolensville Pike. And so we're certainly happy to explore different configurations that might be seen as an asset.
I have a question to
Yes.
the, do you happen to have other properties across the city that are similar, where you are going to construct such a development in other parts of town?
We we've got two townhome communities, one that's already built on Charlotte Pike, on West Nashville corridor. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's across the street from Tailgate Brewery. It's also same thing. For sale product. We built 27 townhome in this community. We have, it was a 4-year project, and so that's a project that is available and for sale. And that's exactly what we told the neighbors, and that's exactly what we did. We have um, 22 in Smyrna, right behind the city hall. It's 22. We have 8 constructed already, and we are selling them just like just like we would be this right here, and they're for sale right now.
Great.
Uh, Yes, ma'am.
Is there a way, Councilman Rutherford, that you could inquire in those communities to see how successful they are and how the residents feel about that development and
Sure.
how pleased they
That,
are? That would be,
yeah,
give us some insight.
that is something that I can do, and that is something that I've done in the past. Actually, I have before, whenever a development was coming in, gone and seen for myself other properties that that developer had built, to know that, number one, that it's quality in terms of what they're building, and then number two, that it was well received within the community. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because I would do the very same thing for this as well.
Great, great. And if you can include pictures, or maybe an architect could share, I see the sketch here, but if you guys could share what they really look like.
Yeah. Do you guys have anything further on the design, or is it too preliminary at this point?
Yes, we do. We do have. Oh, you talking about this particular project right now?
Yeah, this project, or if you had something similar to show that it would be, something, like this.
I see. This is kind of all we worked on right now, but happy to provide whatever information you guys need in
So
relating to this and other projects as well. Yes.
So when you say the location of the one on Charlotte, I have seen that property and it's aesthetically pleasing. My question to the councilman is, when we bring in all of these other forms of property and potential rental units, how does that change the property value of the homeowners you already have in your district? What does that do to the current property owners?
Well, I think it's been stated that this isn't intended to be rental at all.
No,
I
no.
know that has been stated, but you can't
Yeah.
prevent that. I mean, the fact that you're putting up townhomes already attracts, it's going to be more feasible to be a rental property just based on what's going up.
And yeah, look, one thing we'll say is, um, in Charlotte Pike, we built 27, and it's a community that we built. I shared a link for the website on the chat. It's a community we built. Happy to say, out of 27 we built, believe there are 24 residents, not renters, but residents that are living there actively. So that's just the case study, just for what we've done and what we presented, and then also a live example in Smyrna, literally right behind the city hall of Smyrna. There's 22 townhomes, and again, we're marketing it right now. They're actively marketed for sale product. So for home ownership is what we're targeting. So, and those are, like, just live case study from us.
Well, let me ask you: have you ever built a property where it was intended to be owner occupied, but you then shifted gears and it became a rental community?
No, no, sir. Um, we are, this is our third townhome community we will be part of and involved and developed, and the first two I already mentioned what they are. This will be our third.
I have another question. What other properties do you own other than, or build other than construction sites like this?
So me and my counterpart Andy, we're both second generation hoteliers. Um, we grew up in Middle Tennessee. I went to University of Tennessee. My counterpart went to MTSU in Belmont. But our you know, primary development experience is hotels. In 2020, when the pandemic happened, we pivoted from hospitality. We did not know what our hotel industry was going to be like coming out of the pandemic. We had no idea. So we pivoted and started looking and studying residential communities. And we found a small niche. We wouldn't say we've developed this for years, but we found a niche for the last 3-4 years, and we identified Nolensville to be a great area. We've got Andy lived in Antioch for, I don't know, 9+ years. I've got some close mates of mine, like brother type friends who lives in Antioch and Simona Road, for years. So, we felt like this would be a good niche. We at first we thought about just doing townhomes, entire site. We do want to keep the back half of the site undisturbed, just for greenery, green space, some of the concerns that the neighbors had previously. But so we've kept the entire back side undisturbed. But the front side at one point, and we talked to Councilmember about this previously, is do all of it residential townhomes, and then doing a commercial retail of some sort. We felt like it would be a good ad for the neighborhood, and that's why we threw that in. If you ask, have you ever done a commercial retail like this before? We have not.
Do you have any property that was once hotel hospitality that was converted into hotel suites for rent or for lease or anything like that?
No, ma'am.
During the it was hard time. Okay.
No, no,
Thank you.
no, ma'am. Not a single one.
Thank you.
We've had. Yes, ma'am.
That's
Jay,
good.
let me ask you about that, the green space on the back that we want to leave undisturbed. Is it suitable in any way for like a walking trail or a dog walk or anything like that?
That would be a question for Patrick. He's analyzed the site in more details than we have. So, Patrick, what are your
Yes,
thoughts?
Yeah, 'cause we need a
it's
dog park out this area.
it may be possible. We need to explore some of the grades and whether or not we can meet ADA requirements for facilities like that. Because if you open something up like that to the general public, you are then open to being required to meet ADA standards. But it is something we can get with our civil engineering staff and see if that's feasible and follow up with the community.
And then Councilman Rutherford, what about the schools? With like Oliver and Shane already have portables up. Like, where are all these kids going to go? With what I mean, like development going up at Holt and Northville, and it just seems like it's just going to be solid development at some point, clear down to Nolensville.
Right,
So
and
I
that's an
can,
ongoing conversation with the Metro School Board. And there is a new elementary school that is being built. I'm not sure when that breaks ground, but it's being built over in Antioch, more of the heart of Antioch area over on the other side of I-24. And when that comes online, that will allow them to basically redistrict and take some of the pressure off of other schools in the area. So that is something that's being looked at in terms of how much pressure is being put on our existing public schools. And so that's certainly a legitimate question.
that is also part of planning staff's scope of review. When new units are added, they do have data from Metro Nashville Public Schools, and they provide projected number of students from single family, multifamily, mixed use sites. So they have some real world data based on what they've seen in past years of development that they put into their model. So when Metro Planning issues a staff report, they will say that we project this development to create a number of either like preschool, middle school, and high school children, and those children would go to this school, this school, or this school. And they will also make a note that says, these schools are either have capacity, do not have capacity, or for overcapacity, and then they, make a recommendation to Metro schools that those children would then attend a different school if, in fact, that what they call quadrant is at capacity. So it is part of Metro planning staff's review. But happy that a council member is up to speed on Metro schools and the potential for a new school coming online.
Yeah, that's been a factor for some time, and certainly that is raised with basically any proposed development, the impact on schools, always gets mentioned, just like traffic always gets mentioned. You know, those are common questions that we see anytime there's any proposal for anything like this.
And if this does get approved, when you're talking retail, I just want to make sure nothing tacky goes in there like bake shops or, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, we can certainly add conditions into the permitted or precluded uses. That is part of the scope of an SP. So, you know, obviously, like your discount tobacco markets and vape shops, we could certainly exclude those uses from the permitted uses within the scope of the plan. That is something that the council member can certainly, we can also write that on the plan and put that into conditions of approval.
Something that I have commonly asked for and had put in the conditions of developments that I've handled since my time on council is to, you know, prevent those types of things. And so, and usually the, you know, developers are very commonly accepting of that because it's first, we're not in an area that you're wanting to see much of that. You know, there are other parts of town where folks who are looking for that, you know, can go to get that, but it's not something that's desired here. And so we want to prevent that, obviously. And so that is something that's very, very common and can be written into the restrictions. I see a hand raised. Dwight, if you have a question, go ahead.
Yeah. This is Dwight. I hope you can hear me. But my question is,
Yeah.
I see a total of 16 buildings on your map. So that means 16 buildings for sale, or that's not quite.
Yes, those are individual units. So 16 townhomes.
Okay, and I was looking at the Creekside place, and looks like they have a wood front to them. Is that typically what you're gonna do? It's not gonna be brick or anything. It's gonna be straight wood.
No, so that particular unit, those particular units we built, it's got brick. It's brick that you're seeing on the walls.
Oh, at the Creekside place?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Are these gonna be brick as well?
We don't know. We have not explored what this will be. I know in the other development that we've done, and there's a link for it on in the chat as well. We did combination of brick, a little bit of stone, and some siding. But the elevation, mixing up the elevation, looks really good.
I was gonna say, I know that they're building kind of a apartment townhome place. I live in Brookview Forest, and it's right next door to Brookview Forest, and we asked that developer to kind of upgrade the look on it to more or less match kind of what the subdivisions in the area look like. And I think they were favorable to that. So I guess that might be something you want to look at, is try to match the facade or the look or the of what's already in the other subdivision, so that you don't look cheap. You want to make it look nice if you're going to do it.
Yes.
And I kind of like the idea. I kind of like the idea that it's not that many. I know a lot of these developers are putting. I mean, the one right next door is, I don't know how many people live there. It's huge. So I kind of like the idea that it's only going to be 16. That's I think that's a plus. If you're going to build something, make it homeowners, have it being home versus rental.
Well, Dwight, I appreciate the input. Let me ask you, what are your thoughts on the business up front? What would you like to see there?
I kind of like the idea of the coffee shop. I mean, it seems to be very popular around here. I don't want to see a grocery store or a vape shop, something like that. Definitely no. So if you're going to do something that's, and then maybe you can have a little outdoor space where people can sit out and kind of mingle. That'll help.
That's a good idea. Yeah. Okay. I'd like to ask the development team as well. You mentioned early on about the property next door and that you had talked to the owners and that they didn't have any plans for that property as of right now. Were you reaching out to them because you were interested in possibly including that property as part of this? And could you just elaborate on that outreach?
We did have a brief conversation about whether or not, if they were going to develop, that it would be better for these properties to make a partnership. And for one main reason would be to consolidate a driveway, right? We wouldn't want to have two driveways for two separate developments so close to each other. That would be a bad potential road conflict for Nolensville. So, we did ask them, like, if you had plans, would you partner? Could you partner? But we extended that offer to them. They said no. We're not going to move forward with any development at this time. And they just appreciated us reaching out, providing a concept, and just being including them in the conversation, because every other property up and down Nolensville is developed, and that one is not. And so that was the main reason we had that conversation. And trying to be a good commercial neighbor to that commercial owner.
Right. Do you know by chance how much frontage they have on Nolensville Road?
Yeah, I can look it up right here. So they have, let me get back over to the site.
And I asked that for what you said. I really wouldn't want to see a second drive there.
Yeah, they only have 68 feet of frontage, and the minimum width for a driveway going into a commercial site is 24 feet. So that's, considerable amount of their frontage off.
If you happen to be approved and build this, that's going to put serious limits on what can happen on that piece of property.
Yeah, it's maybe something we need to go back to them and look at exploring cross-access easement to them where it may be feasible, like up closer to our driveway, provided that we can provide enough like queuing in and out of our driveway without causing any sort of conflicts, things like that. But that's an access management issue that we would likely have to discuss with NDOT if this plan moves forward.
Yeah, that's exactly why I
certainly,
raised the question, because I was concerned.
certainly we wouldn't want to be the reason that they can't develop or realize some use of the property. That would not be the neighborly thing to do. And certainly we wouldn't want to do that to somebody and not have them do it to us.
Yeah. Okay.
I have a comment to make if no one else is interested in saying it. Okay. I was just thinking about the gentleman who mentioned something about the facade and what the front would look like and what the construction materials would be. I was reflecting on the Nolensville. When you drive into Nolensville and the Green Hills or some of the other areas that are quite prominent, you will notice on sides left and right, they have a lot of symmetry. The symmetry is in the color of the brick. It is brick. It's not a wood. And so I was just thinking, as you look at across the street in the Forest subdivision, if you look at the Daily across the street over here where the gas station is, as you look at even those the property across the street from Oliver Middle, mainly it looks brick and dark burgundy shades. And so my question is, when you get ready to, if it's approved and constructed, that you highly consider using brick rather than a hardy plank, because that gives us a balance on both sides of the street. And then and I don't mean part wood and part 90% brick, period. That way you add value to the each side of the street. It is, we're not competing with a cheap side versus an okay side or a nice side. Then and I'm saying that because when you divide the district, which it is, you have two different councilmen, which obviously. Then we need to make sure that there's some parallelism, so that this side is not taken advantage of and we are enhanced. That's the terminology I want to use.
Yeah.
Just as Nolensville is. That would be great. And then, as you were talking about the parking space, not the parking, but the sharing the entrances alongside the businesses, That's a great idea. You know, the way you were talking, both of you guys, Mr. Rutherford and the builder. That's great. And my last comment, and I've got to roll off, is in the process of speaking to your neighbors who are next to you, this site, have you approached them in eventually hoping to expand by convincing them to sell their property to expand this site?
No, no, we have not had that conversation with them.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
And before you go, Miss Barbara, I just want to say thank you. This is Jay, the Spitzila Developments builder. Say thank you, and just wanted to touch on your comment. You know, the one in Smyrna, the townhomes we did, it was approved with some hardy board and you know, some average materials, and we just decided, you know, there was some similar type product behind us in those townhomes, and we've decided that we need to upgrade and elevate the neighborhood, right? So that's where we decided to do all brick, you know, all brick buildings instead of hardy boards, you know. And on Charlotte Pike, you know, we did combination of several different things, and we just thought the look, it came out really nice and sexy looking, and that's why we stuck with that. But I appreciate you making a comment on trying to do all bricks. Our intention is to elevate what we do, not necessarily you know, trying to bring you know, bring the values down, if you would. Just want to bring a decent product, a good product to this road.
Well, I thank you for saying that, and I said that I have dire concern because with the rapid competition, with the mass construction in Davidson County, and as we expand this strip of Nolensville Road headed into Williamson County,
Mm-hmm.
we don't want to look like the end of the border is, you know, and as each left, right side of Nolensville Road between here and Concord is expanded, and as they're finished up, you're going to eventually see they all look gorgeous side by side, left, right, or you're going to bump into some roadblocks like, oh, that's gorgeous. Oh, that looks junky. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, and so you're going to have a whole canvas of a mess unless there's some additional, because the end product will not end at the same time.
Yes,
You see
ma'am.
what I mean?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
so your product will make our corner look horrible unless we insist. I'm not being anti. I'm being a very clear visionary of what has happened to Nolensville Road. And if you back up and turn and go across back into town, you'll see so many car lot. Everybody's got a car lot. This is a car lot, used car lot road in the country. And that can easily happen, but it will not happen on Franklin Road. It will not happen when you see the little sign when you cross Concord that says entering Williamson County. So when we enter the Lenox Village corridor, past Lake Providence, past Barnes Road, it should look as pristine from here all the way through Nolensville, Tennessee.
I'm right there with you on that. And we are right at the 1 hour mark, and we want to be mindful of everyone's time, but I do think there's another hand or two. So if anyone needs to get off, we understand that. But I want to allow for the questions, if we can be quick about it, though, just to be mindful of time. Jenny, you have your hand up. Do you have a question?
Yeah, what are the plans to keep this looking nice and not letting it get ran down and tacky? Like, is there property management then, or what?
Yes, so it will be a for sale product. So once the units are constructed and this is actually per state law, a portion of the units are sold, then an HOA must be formed, and the HOA would then be tasked with all the maintenance and upkeep for the owners of the property.
Okay. And then Dwight, I see your hand. Do you have another question?
Yeah, my question is, right now that lot, I'm familiar with that lot. I drive by it up quite often. It's a bit of an eyesore. It's got this dilapidated house on it.
Yeah.
It would look some type of a carport is about to fall in. So is there any plans to clean that lot up anytime soon? I mean, or are you just gonna wait till you start construction?
Do you guys
Is
own it as of right now? Are you the owners at this point in time?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. We've owned it for possibly, don't quote me on this, but maybe 2.5 years.
Oh, okay. You've owned it for some time then.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's when we reached out to you, and collectively we decided to wait until we had further progress on the four lane. We patiently waited until the 4 lane expansion started, and then I think the timing works out where I know there were some concerns about it kind of
Yeah. I
running
remember.
parallel,
I
but
remember
timing
our
of
earlier
this.
conversations. I had encouraged you to give it some time.
Yep. Yes, sir. And yeah, the timing of this would work out if we started this process with the rezone.
Yeah.
6 to 8 months of rezones as SP, and then design development phase. Still got to get funding and financing. So we're looking at least 14 to 18 months. So 27 mid Q2 would be like the earliest start date. It is what we would target.
And Jenny, did you have another question? I see your hand raised.
No, I didn't realize it was still up. Sorry.
Okay. Just making sure because I didn't want to leave anybody out. And is there anyone else that has a question at this time? Otherwise, we'll look at closing things up.
Well, I'm sorry, Councilman. I have one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Will this be addressed to the district in any kind of way as a whole, other than this meeting?
Yeah, this is very preliminary, and as they've laid out, it's a rather lengthy timeline. So there would be further engagement on down the road. It would depend on what direction they're going to take with things. Certainly, as to what we would do, we may end up coming back, like this with another meeting such as this. We may do an in-person meeting. It kind of depends on how things go and the timing. But this is very preliminary at this stage. And so, and that reminds me that we would, what we're looking for going forward, what I'd like to see is, more developed plans as to what these things will look like. Some more information on what is the potential for the business up front, because people have expressed some different thoughts and opinions on what they would like to see there. The idea of some open outdoor space for seating at a business, that was raised as well, and people thought that was a good idea. So there's a lot of questions still to be answered and a lot of unknowns, and so this is very, very preliminary at this stage. But once we get more information, as things roll along, then we'll re-engage with the community and get further input.
Okay, I'm sorry. That's helpful to me. Thank you. But I think what I was asking is this an issue that the district votes on, or is this an issue where you hear our concerns and you make a decision about what is happening?
No, the process is it would first go before the planning commission. That's the regular process. The planning commission makes a recommendation, and if then it would go to the Metro Council for 3 readings, and then the full council makes that decision. Granted, being that it's in my district, my input at council has a lot of influence on what happens.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so that's why I need to hear from the community. And this is just the very first step in that process in terms of engaging the community.
Thank you for doing it.
Yes, and thank you to the builders for your time and explanation. We do really appreciate that.
Well, we'd like to thank everybody for attending the meeting and the feedback that we've gotten. And we'll go back and discuss as our group and follow up with the community and the council member.
And I would also just add that if anybody has any further questions, like, after you sleep on this and you get up tomorrow and you think of a question you wish you'd asked, that sort of thing, feel free to shoot it in my direction. I'm available by text and by email, or just call me either way. And If it's something I can answer, I'll answer it. If it's something more for the development team, I'll get an answer from them. So certainly this is not the end even of this meeting in that essence. So feel free to reach out if you have further thoughts.
Okay.
All right. Anyone else? Last opportunity if anybody has a last minute question. Otherwise, we'll look at closing it out.
No,
All right.
thank you for your time.
Well, thank you. I
for-
appreciate everyone for joining, and you can be looking for further information on down the road, and again, feel free to reach out anytime.
Will do.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Everybody have a good
Thank you,
evening.
everybody.